Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday again, and you know what that means. It's time to show me your nuts. I am so excited today. I can barely stand it. I just can't stand it. I have as a guest sitting in the green room someone who I was lucky to meet, but I will tell you about her in just a minute. I'm going to get my notes so I can be formal for a minute. This month we've been talking about quantum, right? So today, I can't believe it's the end of September. How did that happen? How? Yesterday was the end of August, wasn't it? Time. It's a human thing. So welcome to our quantum finale. But today is not just any episode. Like I said, we have a special guest joining us for an exclusive masterclass. And when I say masterclass, this time I mean masterclass. Our guest today has taught me so much in such short amount of time. Again, we're talking time again. I have a feeling that may just be coming up over and over again. Has taught me so much in a short time about probably what has become my favorite topic. For example, the other evening I was at a picnic with my husband's work, and we met another couple, and that person, one of the people, said the word quantum in what they were talking about, and I was instantly like, what? and the two of us started bouncing back and forth, and everybody else at the table was looking at us like we were crazy, but we didn't care. We were talking about our favorite stuff. So when I say quantum, I mean, and you've heard me say this, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum linguistics. It's the thing underneath all of the things. It's what brings those two atoms together, and once they're connected, they can never be disconnected. Meaning, once two people have been connected, they can never be disconnected. Once two ideas are connected, it's showing that we are all connected. And as a Native individual, one of the things that we do in our prayers is a short form of a prayer is all my relations. And all my relations meaning we're connected, not just to each other as humans, but to the plants, the birds, the trees, the earth, the space, of everything, not just in this time or who's quote unquote alive, but who's been here before and who's going to be here in the future. And to me, quantum knowledge spans everything. And so that's just kind of my one word that brings that all together. So that's why I chose the word for this month, because it's one of my favorite things to talk about and to learn about and hear about. So today we're going to talk about advanced secrets and esoteric wisdom that even experienced practitioners rarely hear. This is going to be quantum acceleration. It's very simple, but it's also very complicated at the same time. So we kind of always do an energy check at the beginning of the show, or we've started doing that. And today's energy check for the audience, I want you guys to say, are you ready to have your mind expanded beyond what you thought possible? Are you ready to leave your previous knowledge at the door, come in with a fresh mind and the ability to see things potentially differently than you've ever seen them? In other words, leave your mind very open so that what we're going to talk about may land differently than it would have landed otherwise. So let me know in the chat, and I know we've got at least one comment, one person. Um, I love that. Jessica's up watching. She's singing actually. We are the world, we are the children. And Jessica, you know how to get in the room. You could come in and sit in the third chair and sing later if you want. Um, and Miss Brittany's awake. Happy Nutty Tuesday. It is definitely the Nutty Tuesday. And we're gonna get nutty. Our guest asked me before the show if we were if this was a formal event, and I said I should have said no. You know me, the squirrel. I'm not going to be formal. I haven't been formal since I left corporate. Thank creator. But that we go off the rails a little, but I do want to keep. I want to do as much justice as possible to introduce our guest. Um, I'm this I have a feeling she might get a squirrel name by the end of the show because everybody gets squirrel names. So we might come up with a good squirrel name for our guest. And my note says honoring our guest Master Squirrel, but when I looked at it, I saw the word mother instead. So I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say honoring our guest Mother Squirrel, the Master Mother Squirrel. Dr. Etta Jackson is a pioneer in consciousness and quantum choice. Her impact to me has been several of her books, one of which I am still reading because I take it in and I take a bite and then I savor it for a while and then I take another bite and I savor it. So it's going to take me a little bit to get through the book. And then I'll probably go back and read it again for that matter. But she has several books that are really good. And I'm lucky enough to have met her in several video meetings and get really fun messages from her of other learning. So maybe that's keeping me from reading the book too. But it's also keeping me learning all the time. So I'll let her tell you. We'll tell briefly what her story is in one of her books, or of how that got there, because I think that's important to hear. But I would say that her contributions to the field are teaching everyday people who haven't understood the concepts of esoteric wisdom and quantum learning things, teaching them those concepts in ways that they can understand them, and tying together multiple systems, many systems in one place to describe not only what's going on right now, but what's coming. And I think it's what we're living through right now. And to me personally, I have realized that I chose to be here in this life at this time to experience, learn, and see all the things that are happening in the world right now, scary as that may seem, and that we all have. And I've realized that part of what I'm here for is to help guide and spread that the spread that understanding, help that understanding grow in a space that's not scary. Helping people understand that the reason that they're here is not a scary thing, but could be an adventuresome learning experience. So with that, I want to get you guys ready. Set your mind up, because this is graduate level quantum transformation. Welcome to Show Me Your Nuts, Dr. Etta Jackson, my dear friend and quantum mother squirrel.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, well, it's the one that came to mind, but
Yeah.
we'll see. You might end up with another squirrel name by the time we're done.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
So,
game.
welcome. Maybe go ahead and give the audience maybe an introduction to you, where you're from, where you live, what you do.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Stacy. It's a pleasure being here, and hello, everyone. As you see, my name is Etta Jackson. And to kind of give a context to me and where I and how I, came to be here, both physically and spiritually. I was born in Jamaica many, many years ago. I won't say how many.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, exactly.
Yesterday.
And actually came to the United States. And this might give you a little clue. In 1965, as a foreign student to Howard University in Washington, D.C. So this was my first place that I lived here in the United States. And I came here with the idea that I was going to be a medical doctor. That's what I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And, but the universe had slightly different plans for me. So, again, I have this background in pre-med. Actually, my undergraduate degree is in pre-med. And then, and actually got accepted to medical school. And then the universe said, no, I think I have another plan for you. So I went into psychology.
She likes to do that, doesn't she, the universe? It's like, oh, wait, no, now you've got your learning here. It's time to move on to the next thing. And it's not what you think it's going to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so ended up in psychology. That was what, Spirit said I should do. And ended up in a master's degree program, which was different. It was a psychoanalytic guidance and counseling program, which was the only one of its kind in the country at Long Island University here in New York. And it was developed by a team of professors from Columbia University at Long Island University. But that was a degree that changed my life, I would say. Yes.
Okay.
Never told you that, right? And yes, because
I knew that we share our background in psychology and in therapeutic scenarios.
Yeah. Because what happened is that I saw myself in every case study that I did.
Yeah.
So I could see. And so, it was, it's interesting how the universe, your soul, set you up for how your life would unfold and how to navigate it. Because I never thought, I remember when, I'd gotten accepted to medical school, but I had my daughter at that time and was trying to figure out how to do this because I was by myself. And I remember putting my head in my hand and saying, Spirit, please give me some direction as to what to do. And a little slip of paper actually appeared in front of me with the words typed, guidance-counseling. And I had never heard of it before. And I called my cousin and said, what is guidance and counseling? Because I'd always been in the sciences, so I didn't know anything about a lot of the social sciences.
Uh-huh.
And she said, oh, it's a real thing, and they give a master's degree in it. And so I explored these master's programs in guidance and counseling, and then I found this one at Long Island University. And it was the beginning of the end of who I was at that time, because it opened up a whole new world because I had learned, in my undergraduate degree in pre-med, I learned about the physical aspect, biology, chemistry, physics and stuff. And so now I think Spirit One says, I want you to understand the emotional dimension of who you are. And that was
interesting because it kind of the track you have gone and somewhat my track has as through what I call I have a worksheet I use with clients that is basically a medicine wheel with 4 pieces.
Yes.
Biological, then psychological, because you have to stabilize the biological.
Exactly.
Then stabilize the psychological, which is your thinking and feeling. Then stabilize your social, which is your interaction with the people close to you.
Yes.
Then you can get to the spiritual, which is a continuum of hope to hopelessness.
Yes.
And that we're constantly going around that, and we're either spiraling up or spiraling down.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so I love the fact that the track you had was following that. You learned the biological to the deep
Mhm.
part where you needed to learn it. Then
Yes.
you went to the psychological. And I
Yes.
suspect then you also had went to the social and then the
Yes.
spiritual.
And so the next step then was, so I did that master's degree in psychoanalytic guidance and counseling. And then the next step was to do another master's degree in administrative leadership and supervision.
There we go. There we go.
Ah, and it's fascinating when you kind of reflectively look at it, like you're just saying, and you
Mhm.
see how this agreement that you made to come here and the work that you came here to do, how spirit guide you step by step if you will listen, you know,
Mhm.
and
And
then
sometimes when you don't listen, it's just a knock on the head. Because mine was
absolutely.
I was gonna be an engineer out of high school.
Mhm. Oh wow.
And then life happened and boys happened. And
Hmm.
the boy that happened ended up being an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
But after that relationship, I couldn't get myself back into the same place to go to school to do the engineering, but
Hmm.
I'd had science and math and
Yes.
the those things and computers and tech.
Hmm.
And so a lot of people will meet me who met me in my early career were like, "You're a social worker. What are you talking about
Yes.
tech for? What, you
Hmm.
don't know anything about tech." And I'm like, excuse
Yes,
me,
I
hang on.
do.
But wait, there's more."
Yeah.
And it's so funny because then I went and got my social work degree
Hmm.
and I was working in that, and I had made the mistake of saying, "I'll never go back to school," not
Hmm.
realizing our unconscious mind doesn't know the word not, and it heard I was
Absolutely.
going back to school. And so sure enough, 13 years after the first master's degree, I end up with a degree in public health. So
Yeah.
I had my sciences, then
Hmm.
I had the psychological in, as a
Yeah.
therapist,
Hmm.
then I went to public health and got the social.
Hmm.
And then and I had no idea. I didn't do a master's degree, but my master practitioner certificates
Hmm.
that brought me into NLP, MER, and hypnosis
Yes.
with Timeline
Yeah.
brought me into the quantum world, which brought me back to the spiritual.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's not that I don't know that everyone goes through those 4 things as far as their career and their
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
I do think that's
But
something you
maybe
and I
sometimes,
share.
maybe because they haven't really stood back a little
Mhm.
bit and look at it,
Well, I think we go
That's,
through those things on a daily basis. That
yes, absolutely.
I teach people that one as far as how to keep yourself kind of stable on a daily basis, but
Hmm.
I hadn't actually looked at it from that. I hadn't brought myself up higher, that higher
Hmm.
view, until
Hmm.
you were speaking just a few minutes ago, and then realized not only yours was that way, but that mine had been that way.
Yes,
And that's
exactly.
something that you and I share. So,
Absolutely. That's what it was so interesting listening to you, say that because they're so similar. Yeah.
uh-huh.
And so um I've known since I was very young that I had come to the planet. And I keep saying that I came here. I didn't just, happen here. It was a conscious decision to come to the
Conscious
planet.
choice to
Yes,
be
a
here.
conscious choice to be here. And of
Mhm.
course, at that time, 6, 7 years old, you don't know what that is. But I knew, and I used to tell my mom, in my cells, I know this, not in my head, in my cells.
Oh.
Yes, yes, I was clear about that. I knew that I had come to the planet to help with the liberation of humanity. But of course, what those
Mm.
words meant at 6, 7 years old, you don't know. And so it
And
was
you knew
interesting.
that specific phrase,
Yes,
but
exactly.
you
Yeah.
didn't, and you knew it in your cells, but you still didn't weren't at the place of understanding what the phrase meant even.
Meant. Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was as my life unfolded that I got to, it's like a book that begin to, open itself up to you so that you can now
Mhm.
read it because now you have the capacity to
Like
read it.
I'm picturing a pop-up book also. It's
Yeah.
it's a pop-up book. You open a page and everything kind of pops open.
Ah, yes. And over the years, it's like page by page, you get to read the next chapter of
Uh-huh.
your life and what that statement that you made way back then really meant. And
Right.
so, yeah. So my life unfolded. I've been in religion, but I've always been spiritual. I knew, I used to tell my mom, I said, I have this knowledge from over there, whatever over there was in my mind. But
Uh-huh.
yes, I had a lot of knowledge that I brought back into this incarnation, and so when I was young, I had difficulty explaining that to people because, imagine at 6, 7 years old talking about
Yeah.
this stuff. And, it's like, and I remember my mother said, where do you get these things from? Because they were
Right.
so.
Well, even, if you think about it, if I'm thinking about it, I think at this point in my life, I understand that we all bring those things back, but we can't always see, feel, and
And
understand them.
remember it.
We
Yeah.
don't always remember them
Yes.
so it's, in a way, it's not just understanding your choice, it's remembering your choice.
It's remembering your choice.
And it's not until you get through that stabilizing of the body you're in, stabilizing of the psychology of what you're doing, stabilizing in a major way, of your life, the social interactions, that you can focus on the spiritual. And when I say the spiritual, I'm not meaning any particular religion. I'm meaning your understanding of your higher self,
who you
whatever
are.
that is for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And that once you finally, and I see it as like raising yourself up and being able to see all the things instead of just seeing them through these eyes.
Yes.
Right.
The inner eye. Yeah.
Yeah. And really being able to raise up and see the vision of the totality of everything. And I and that's, I think, one reason I really love your book, because you bring in lots of different aspects of different religions, different cultures, different knowledge bases, and you bring that together. And I'm talking about the book, Understanding My Choice.
Your choice.
Understanding Your Choice, correct?
Yeah. Your choice. Yeah.
Your choice. And it's, you bring those in, but then it's also that looking through, you bring it back to where a person can understand it through their personal lens.
Yeah. So just to give context to that book, because I think it's so central. And, we've talked about how it came to be that, and it's actually this month of September, 50 years ago, 1975.
50 years ago this month?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
September.
That deserves a,
so for us to be talking about this at this moment. Yeah.
Yes.
It's around this same time, September 1975, 50 years ago. I was in Brooklyn standing at the stoplight, which we don't usually do in New York. Then this light, which from I was young, always overshadows me, and said, write this title down. It's the title of a book that you will write. And of course, I was like, what are you talking about? Me? Me write a book?
Yeah.
I don't know how to write any book. I think you have the wrong person. And so that's how it began. And what the light, and I've told the story that it took 25 years of me arguing with the light back and forth. Because I was convinced that it wasn't me, that you had the wrong person. and so I kept, ignoring the light.
And I was going to say, and how that worked, when you argue with the universe.
That's why I can laugh about it now. It's like, yeah, good.
They're like, the universe is like, here, hold my beer. Watch this. She's going to write the book anyway.
25 years of arguing back and forth with the light and saying, so I figured that in 25 years, the light would find the right person.
Apparently it did.
And 25 years later, I left New York by then, and I was coming through New York, and sort of intuitively, I felt that I would come back to New York. And I got an email from a friend of mine who had to go to Kenya to help with the AIDS crisis that was taking place there back in 2000. And she said, I need somebody to stay in my apartment for 3 months while I go to Kenya. And somehow intuitively, I knew it was me. So I said, I think I'll take your apartment for 3 months. And it was in that apartment that the light again overshadowed me and said, it is now time to write the book. And at first I said, what book?
And that apartment, if I remember in your story that you told me, that apartment was not in.
It was in Harlem.
Oh, that one was in. Okay, that was in Harlem. Okay.
Yes, and it was in that apartment, in her apartment, on her bookshelf, that there was a book titled "How to Write a Book." So that's when I said okay, I got it. Okay, accept. No more arguments. Yeah. But
okay, I'll follow the directions.
Yes, absolutely. And so, but by then, though, 25 years later, I had grown spiritually, and the title of Understanding Your Choice wasn't so abstract to me anymore. I had joined this esoteric order called the Builders of the Adytum, which is profound. And again, I think the order helped me to remember a lot of the information that I came in with and to put structure to that memory.
That would make sense.
Yes, yes. So that played a great role in me writing the book, because then I, had concrete knowledge. Because one of the things that the light wanted me to achieve in writing Understanding Your Choice is, one, the title, Understanding Your Choice, helping humanity understand that they did make a choice to come here to planet Earth and at this time. And we all forgot, just like how I forgot that I had agreed to write the book.
Yeah. And then argued with yourself about writing it.
Exactly. That we all forgot. And it's purposeful, because we are to immerse ourselves. Because if you remembered everything about, not having any pain and hunger and all of that, you wouldn't want to come here. So you had to forget so that you could consciously and totally immerse yourself in this dimension to experience it fully. And so that was part of why we chose to forget, so that we could go have this experience authentically, and we could have the physical, emotional, mental experience of not remembering who we are.
And I think that one of the important pieces that I just realized there, or something interesting, is that we're going from the word quantum here this month. And next month on this show, we're going into the word integrity.
Yes.
And you just gave a beautiful segue of that we chose this experience so that we could authentically, which to me says within our integrity of ourselves as a soul.
Absolutely.
Bring ourselves through this experience and experience these things differently than we do in any other life dimension, however you want to describe it. And some people would probably describe it as a different life. Some would say different dimension. I think one of the things that's challenging is we all come from different constructs as far as our spiritual background, our cultural, educational, everything, all the different pieces. And we have all these different words and language, which is wonderful. We have diverse words and language, but that I think that's one of the things I really like about the book, is because it breaks down and talks about, this is what is described in Christianity. This is what's described in Buddhism. This is what's described in
Islam.
Different spiritualities.
But we're talking about the same thing.
Different sciences and different things. And that we are, and I've known for a long time that one of my reasons for being here is to be a translator. Oh man, and you talk about fighting the universe. Oh, I fought myself over that one. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to.
Yes.
And then once I finally started doing it
Mm-hmm.
and felt comfortable in myself, in my own
Yes.
skin,
Yeah.
it's second nature to me.
Yes.
Sometimes to my husband's chagrin, because he's like, do you have to argue? You have to explain everything or argue with people about everything? And I'm like, I'm just trying to help this person understand this person. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yes. Yeah. No, because we have it, and we chose to come because we have the memory of all of this information. And so,
Yeah.
Spirit says, okay, I'm going to activate this so that you can now serve humanity using all this wonderful
It's
information
like
that
we
you
put a
had stored.
blindfold on.
Yes, yes. And that's what it is. And we had to come down into this density of the third dimension to experience the weight of it, the weight of what not remembering looks like, feels like, to be able to authentically own all of the emotions. Because, this is a water planet too. We're 70% water. So we're here to feel what that feels like. And that's also, what the Piscean age that we're coming out of. We're coming out of 2160 years of the Piscean age, and simultaneously 25,920 years of the cosmic year of Pisces. A lot of feeling, a lot of water. And so here we are now at this juncture, this turning around point.
And interesting that it's turning at. I'm not going to go into this deeply at the moment, but in a private discussion on Thursday. Those of you who don't know, Thursday morning I have coffee every Thursday morning at the Quantum Quaff. If you're interested, I'll actually put a note up where you can sign up to come to coffee. I think that gets you to the Quantum Quaff, which is where we have coffee. You can screenshot that. But that interesting that you use the phrase turning point has come up in modern society in some news stories.
Yes.
Because as soon as that did, I was like, oh,
yes,
that's the sign. That's the sign that, because I knew from talking to you before, we're coming on this turning point. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we're going from that Piscean age.
Yes, into the Aquarian age. It's a
there we go. So
turnaround.
yeah, what does that kind of like for us mere mortals who don't understand the esoteric as much?
Well,
What does it mean that we're doing this big change that's happening? I think a lot of people feel it.
Yes.
And they feel something's different, and something big it's like, I can't remember which Broadway show it is, but something about, there was a song about something big is coming.
It's coming.
Jessica, if you're in the chat.
Yes. And it's a quantum leap that is taking place. And for a number of reasons, Stacy, because again, and just to go back a little bit, the light also told me that I should couch the writing of that book, Understanding Your Choice, in the story of the prodigal son.
Aha.
And so if you remember, from, and this is the esoteric version of the prodigal son, not the religious.
Which I was going to say, which is slightly different than the biblical known version.
Exactly.
Right.
He didn't commit any sin and did any wrong, and he wasn't thrown out of the father's house. None of that. And it really speaks to choice, because the prodigal son made the choice to leave the father's house.
Right.
He said to his father, if I am to know myself, I need to leave this place of safety and security and sameness. And I need to go out into distant lands, into foreign lands, to go meet my brothers and sisters so that I can know myself. So it was a choice. And the light wanted me to emphasize that unlike the religious version, that we were thrown out of heaven because we sinned and all of that, that is garbage. The prodigal son made a decision, a choice to leave, because he had come to that place within himself where he knew that this environment could not help him to grow. And that he needed to leave this place of safety and go out. And so that's why he left home and went into distant
It's because
lands and foreign
he knew
lands.
the safe, stable place he was in, but
Hmm.
he didn't know the other things, and because he didn't know the other things, he also didn't know enough about himself.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because you cannot, if you know this, but you don't know that, you have nothing to compare it with.
And I think that we all go through. I was actually speaking to a client not long ago about their they've got some children who are kind of getting to that age where they're getting ready to go to college,
Hmm.
and they're starting to separate from the parent, and we
Yes.
kind of talked through this similar aspect
Hmm.
of things, and
Yes.
how challenging it is for both people in the
Exactly.
in that.
Yeah, dynamics. Yeah.
Mhm.
Both for the parents and for the
And that as individuals, we've even if we've because we all have gone through that
Hmm.
separation at some level, at some time in our life, at whatever, from
Yes.
our original parent,
Yes.
or from
Exactly.
even an adoptive parent, or an
Hmm.
extra parent, or anybody. We've gone through those separations in
Yes.
our life. And if you're a parent yourself, you've gone through that separation from your parent before you had children.
Hmm. Yeah.
You
I
know?
left home to come to the United States. My daughter left the United States to go to Europe. She's been living there now for 36 years.
Mhm.
And so, it's always going out,
Yeah.
leaving the place of
And
comfort.
sometimes it's not a physical leaving, but it's
Yes. Emotional.
not an and sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's, just in the way that you live your life,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Hmm.
Mine was actually more of a spiritual leaving, a
Hmm.
difference in
Yes.
a
Hmm.
difference in understanding spirituality,
Hmm.
not
Absolutely. And,
not a
and and
total
the
leaving.
courage to leave,
Mhm.
because what was important to note is that the prodigal son at that level of maturity where he knew he needed to leave.
Yeah.
Because you need to know when to leave. When I have gotten everything that I need thus far from
Mhm.
this experience, and I need something else, I need something more.
And
And
so what is and after you get the more, what happens then is after you've gone out and gone on the journey,
yeah, so
then
so the and as the story of the prodigal son relates, he went out and he was, is described as Jewish in the story of the prodigal son. And he went out and he did everything that was contrary to what his teachings, um,
so
were.
he rebelled, is that what you're
He rebelled, he ate pig's feet, he ate all of the things that he would not have been allowed to do at home. He did. He asked his father for his portion of goods, which means money. Um, and the father gave him his portion of money. And he went out and he spent it all and he did everything. He danced. And, I mean, you name it. Kind of what we're doing here on this planet. We've done it all. We've had
I
all kinds of different experiences, broken all the rules. And what is interesting about the story, and what I think is so esoterically profound, is that after he had done all of these things, broken all the rules, he was expecting that his father would condemn him because that's,
Mhm.
you broke the rules, you shouldn't have done this and whatever. But he got to explore and experience himself and got to know things about himself that he could never have known had he had stayed at
Mhm.
home. So he was afraid that his father would condemn him for having done all the things that he did. But the
Mhm.
Father, like our divine Mother Father, have no such condemnation of us. And
Right.
this is where it departs from the religious version of
Mhm.
of the story, because his father, knowing that this information that he went out and gathered would
Uh-huh.
expand him in consciousness, that the same person who left home was not the same person that was coming back, because now he had done everything. He had had all these experiences that would expand him in consciousness, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And though he was afraid, the father knew better. and was always looking down the road to us to see him come back, because the Father always knew that he would come back. Just like how we're all coming back. This is, and I'm using the
This is
analogy
the
of the
turning and coming
return,
back.
the path of return, that we're gone, like the prodigal son, we had gone, Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, we've gone to the end of our journey in this dimension of illusion and separation. And now we're on the path of return, just like the prodigal son.
So kind of as humans on this planet, in a much larger span of time, we're talking thousands of years.
Yes.
So several thousand years at least, that we've gone through our journey as humans, the first round, if you will.
Out.
The first round out.
Or down into matter.
Yeah, and then we're coming back and turning around and doing more. I want to come back. I love this comment that Jessica put when you were talking about that, when you know when you've got to know when it's time to leave. Yes. And she says, the great Reverend Kenny Rogers said, "You've got to know when to hold him and know when to hold him." And I love that.
I refer to him a lot, you know. Yeah, know when to hold and know when. I need to know when to walk away. You know?
You've got to know when to walk away and know when to know when to run.
And know when to run. Exactly. Absolutely. And this is the profundity. And so it is important that we grow and mature as individuals so that we know when to leave, we know when to walk away, and we know when to run. And so all of those analogies are just perfect. And so now, you know, talking about that quantum. So I have also likened, and the light, when I was writing Understanding Your Choice, told me to use the analogy of grade, you know, the grades, the 12 grades in school, to use to explain these 12 cycles. 12th grade is like, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it's a 12th sign, right? Okay. So imagine that you're now in 12th grade. We've graduated.
As humans, we're in 12th grade.
Yes.
But
yes,
we also have to come back around and start again.
So no, but in a different way.
In a different way.
Yeah, because the prodigal son who went out is not the same prodigal son that came back. Because he's been through these 12 grades or 12 stages of development. Right.
But it's those 12 grades in that stage of development, because there's still more out there.
Yeah. So now you went through those 12 grades and you learned all of this. Because with the prodigal son, there's a part in the story that says he came to himself. And that coming to oneself is taking all of that information that you've gathered over those 12 stages of development and pondering on them, reflecting on that information. What did I learn? What was the journey all about? What did I know about myself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Right. Because now on this return journey, I'm a different person. I've gathered information. I've gathered knowledge. Now I must make meaning out of that information that I've gathered.
And I'll also, I one of the things I kind of highlighted a minute ago, but I want to highlight again in a different way, is it from my field, from social work, we and from public health, actually, we learn things, how to impact. People may not know this about social workers, but we work on 3 or 4 different levels. Okay. So social workers work at the micro, which is one-on-one with individuals, at the meso, which is like with small groups like families and small groups of people, and then the macro, which is like at society level. So we work with individuals, families, and macro, we work with advocacy, like for policy and such. Then in public health, we work with we don't really so much work with the one-on-one in public health. We work with the small groups, like families and small groups of people. Then we work with society. But then we also work with we go beyond macro, and I'm going to call it really kind of into the quantum to an extent, because we work planetary with like environmental health and things like that. So my personal perspective is now, once I added that, I work all the way from the micro
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the
Mm-hmm.
quantum.
Yeah.
And what the things we're talking about, you've
Mm-hmm.
got that individual journey of an
Yeah.
individual person. You've got
Mm-hmm.
the journey of a family or a small group of
Yeah.
people. You've got the journey of society,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the journey of the planet.
Yes. Because
And
that and in that
all four simultaneously.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Because he, the prodigal son, was really preparing, just like you talked about the meso and the macro. He was preparing himself to serve the larger whole. Because what he didn't realize is that the father, knowing how much knowledge and how much consciousness he had evolved, was now preparing him to serve the larger whole. So he
Mhm.
ran, put the cloak around him, and welcomed him back home. No condemnation, you know, knowing that this person now I can put in leadership to serve the kingdom,
The
the
larger.
larger whole.
Mhm.
And to what you were just saying, yeah, because when you prepare yourself, you're talking about quantumness. When you are, because as you grow, physically, emotionally, mentally, you evolve, you become a radiating force. So, on a quantum level, you're able to serve a larger number of humanity, not just in groups but vibrationally, because your vibration has risen, you know, x-fold as a
Mhm.
result of the work that you've done on yourself. So now the prodigal son is at a vibrational frequency and in consciousness where he can, because the father now put him in charge of the kingdom. Because he
Mhm.
says, now you have the consciousness to be able to serve the larger whole, which is an analogy to what you're talking about, as you
Well,
prepare.
and that also brings up another book. Last week we talked about books.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about 4 books. We talked about Dr. Matthew James and his book, Mental Emotional Release,
Mm-hmm.
which is the process that I'm trained in that I help people with.
Yeah.
And it works on their timeline. Then
Mm-hmm.
we talked about Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Yeah.
Then we talked about The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about Understanding My Choice or Your Choice by Dr. Etta Jackson. And of course I did that
Wow.
on purpose. I did that on
Yes.
purpose but one of the other books that I didn't talk about that day, and you just brought it to my mind, is one that I'm looking at reading called The Map of Consciousness Explained by
Mm-hmm.
Dr. David Hawkins.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you familiar with that book?
I think I've heard of it, but I've not read it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Mm-hmm.
one. And I actually am toying with the idea. Tell me
Mm-hmm.
what you think of this,
Yeah.
Etta. I'm toying with the idea of having a book club
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
of people that meet once a month and we talk about books. And it's the name of the book club would be the
Mm-hmm.
Quantum Quill Quest.
Oh, wow.
Triple
Interesting.
Q.
Yeah.
I love alliteration.
Yes. Yeah.
Alliteration and metaphor are how I do
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
But it's of people who are interested in talking about these types of topics
Mm-hmm.
and reviewing a book.
Yes.
And I've been hinting at it and thinking about it. I
Yeah.
have a
Should do
uh,
it.
I actually have a Go Brunch room that's already set up for it.
Okay.
I'm just gauging interest. So if you're in the audience or if you're watching this later and you're interested in Triple Q, send me a message that says I want to do Triple Q. And
Okay. Yeah.
Etta, if you're interested, I'd love to have you help
Oh,
us
I'd love to.
with that group, because I think it would be really cool to have small group discussions
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
it and do like read a book and talk
Mm-hmm.
about, because there's so many great books out there
Yeah.
that have different pieces of this information.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's probably just because like attracts like,
Yeah.
that when you know this, you can't unknow it.
Absolutely.
Because you know it, and when you talk about it, the other people
Mm-hmm.
who also
Mm-hmm.
have their own glimpse of it,
Yeah.
we start to attract each other.
Absolutely.
And I
That's the quantumness because everything
quantumness,
is
and I'll say,
interconnected.
like magnets,
Yes, absolutely.
we
With a
connect with
negative
each
and
other that way.
positive pole, because that's also something that I want to go into in understanding your choice, because many people have so much difficulty with light and dark, the pairs of opposites.
Yeah.
And, just like you just described a while ago about the magnet, the negative and the positive pole, this is the experience that we came to have,
Mhm.
and because we've been sort of oriented religiously to believe that anything that is negative, whatever we call negative, we should shun, then that has not really been integrated in their experiences and why they're out of balance. Back to your, Libra.
Yeah, it's my
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
came into,
Yeah.
and what's weird was I was supposed to be, I can't remember, is it Capricorn or that's January 1?
I remember you saying that.
Yeah,
And
my mom was due to have me on January 1st, and I showed up
yes,
in October. I was like,
yes,
"No,
and yes, I'm gonna be a
I want
Libra,
in," and I
like Capricorn.
do everything early. I've
Yes.
done all my life. I was born early. I wasn't supposed to live 24 hours.
Oh my
Here I
gosh.
am quite a few
Yeah.
24 hours later.
Yeah.
Um, when the universe, or when they said you're only going to live 24 hours, and I don't drink beer, but I'll say, here, hold my peanut butter whiskey and watch this, and here I am.
And
I
here you
love,
are. Yeah. So,
Jessica's got another comment for us. So I want to break this one down.
mhm.
Is we do not need to lose knowledge of human individuality as we move to serve from the higher perspective. This unfortunately is a real problem because people fall through the cracks um for the greater good. I'm hoping to understand what you're saying, Jessica, and I know you know how to get to this stage, and if you want to, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
um
But part of this coming down into the density of third dimensional reality, again, like I said, was to forget so that our experience in this dimension could be authentic. But now we're again like the prodigal son. We're returning. It's a reversal, and this is Aquarius, which is the age of the brotherhood of man, and it's about technology, oneness, unity, revelation,
well, and
brotherhood.
I think what she's saying, and I think it's important, is what I take here is we don't need to lose the knowledge of each of us being individual when we move to serve from the higher perspective. And I think that's absolute.
And
If
this
I'm
is
understanding,
exactly what Aquarius is
yeah, if
about.
I'm understanding the comment right, is yeah,
Yes,
we actually want
yes,
to move up to see that we are all individuals,
yes,
but
yes.
that we are all individuals who are connected, and that it takes the diversity of us as
Absolutely.
individuals and the
Absolutely.
beauty. I call that like the tapestry
Yeah.
of the quilt. And I'm going to bring up one of our first
And to what she's
squirrels
saying,
there. The cashew quilt. There's all different there's all different pieces of fabric in that picture
absolutely.
there. But all of the pieces together show us that squirrel,
Yeah. But
right?
as the ancients say, you must know yourself. Like the prodigal son is, when I know myself, I can know you better. And so this is why the whole dictum for humanity is man know thyself. Because what the prodigal son realized is that he as an individual, having come into a better knowledge of who he is, can even better appreciate his brothers and
And
sisters.
he did it by understanding who his brothers and sisters were,
Yes, but in the
right?
process, he got to know who he is,
And in the process, then he knew
because the
himself
thing
better.
is that your brothers and sisters are inside of you.
And that's where we get, and when you
Yes,
get to the point where you understand that the reason that you understand yourself is because you've held up a mirror, your brothers and sisters have held up a mirror to help you understand, and by holding up the mirror to each other, we understand ourselves and each other better.
yes, but it's not just when you understand who you are physically, emotionally, mentally, and the construct of who you are, you get to understand again the quantumness that I and my brother are one. and I don't just believe it because I had a nice social interaction with you. I come to know that.
Yeah. I know that we are connected.
Yeah. And because in knowing yourself, you get to understand the divine construct of the universe, of the human body, because the body, everything that is outside of you is inside of you. So when I know me, I automatically know you. And I can relate to you in a different way than before I got to know who I am. Because there is once you get to know yourself, there's no separation anymore.
Right. And I think, and we're going back to the once you see this, you can't unsee it.
Yes.
But there's also this piece of before you can see it, it's because you're seeing things like this.
Yes.
And you can't see what's out here.
Yeah.
You can't see it. And so you have to, and it's very scary too. Don't get me wrong. You have to take the blinders off.
Yeah.
On purpose. So like what we started the show with of leave your prior knowledge at the door and come in with the most open mind possible to understand it. And that's a hard thing for us to do.
But this is what the book is about, though.
Exactly.
And as we were talking about earlier before coming on, is that the book takes you through a systematic step-by-step process of understanding who you really are. And in that knowledge of who you are, the separation ends. Because once you come to know yourself, then everything outside of you becomes more understandable.
Right.
And your connection is the separation ends, as I said.
I think Jessica's comment here is beautiful, is then we must create the space and the trust that the other will come to know thyself for themselves also, and that we must not infringe on that. And I think what you just described, Jessica, is my description of that is that 8.2 billion people on the planet minus 1 equals respect. And let me describe that that formula that I created there. The reason I say 8.2 billion minus 1 is that I am the only one that knows this inside here. I'm the only one that knows how these two eyes and this body understand the world. Even though I also, and I know me, but I also know that I have to know that I only know me and I don't know the other 8.2 billion minus 1. And I have no way to know exactly what Jessica, Etta, PD and Q, any other people, I can't know what exactly the way they know. And if I were to say, oh, what I know is better than you, or what I know is not as good as you, or what I know is what you know is wrong, or any of those things, that is disrespect.
Yeah.
So if I understand that that 8.2 billion minus 1, I have to be respectful of them by understanding, being, and saying that what their reality is valid, real, and where it should be.
Yeah.
That truly is when you understand respect.
Yeah, exactly. Because when we come to realize that each one of us is a unique aspect of the one.
Yes.
And that when you can respect that I am similar to you, but at the same time different, because I have a unique aspect,
and understand it as both valid and beautiful.
Yes. And that we don't have to look alike and think alike and whatever for you to be valid and respected.
That would be boring AF. It would really be boring AF. Now, I also love this comment, and I want to kind of wrap us on this one. Is the age of Jessica is the sun, the moon, Venus, and Mars all day. So instead of Aquarius, we have the age of Jessica. And those of you who know her know that she is the sun, the moon, Venus, and Mars.
And the stars.
And the stars. And yes.
But I want to just say this, again, we're now on the path of return, and we've entered it. We've entered the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius offers that we come out of this fog of illusion and separation into this remembering that we are in fact one, and that the planets of Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are helping us to accelerate that. And so, talking about quantumness, this is how these three outer planets that you could describe as quantum planets are helping to facilitate the quantumness of our return journey. And so this is why we're feeling this thing happening, is because these three planets represent the soul force. So that we've been operating as personalities, working out our little differences and fighting and whatever. And now the big boys or women, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus says, okay, I want you to come up to this level of understanding. They represent the soul force of the individual and the planet. So now we're not operating as personalities with our divisions and stuff. We want you to come up to a bigger, we're graduated now,
And
Let's get to
so
college.
as a planet, as a society, as humans, we're going through this process. And I would say it's also kind of that graduation of the, as a planet, as a group of people, as whatever, we're the prodigal son. We're getting ready to leave where we've been.
Yes.
And go in to be able to truly understand who we are.
And interestingly, the age of Aquarius is called the age of reason. So while before we were, mired in our emotions, I don't like you, and, very emotional response to a lot.
Yeah.
Now the age of reason is allowing us to step back and to be able to use the information that we've gathered through this 12 grades. Now we have the capacity. We're in 12th grade. I'm now more mature emotionally, mentally, physically. I can now think. I can be more rational, objective. And this is where we are. So now, like the prodigal son who went out and began now to make meaning out of that experience, that whole emotional experience. What was that all about, really? What was all that fighting and quarreling and hating all about? And now, because we have the mental capacity and the emotional maturity to be able to make sense out of what we have experienced over the last 2,160 years, we can now then move on a different path that is more mature, that's more focused, that's more collective, brotherhood, oneness, because now I understand.
So does that mean now we're
separation?
We're going into our young adulthood as a people, as a set of beings, as a planet. We're going into our young adulthood, and we're getting ready to go. We're going to college.
Yes,
we're getting ready to start our freshman year of college.
Yes, yeah. I'm now mature enough, and I'm developed enough, and I now have the capacity to handle this basic. And to put context to this, these 3 volumes of books that I was asked by the light to present is to take this body of arcane knowledge and present it to humanity in the most accessible form possible. Because now we have the capacity mentally and emotionally to understand this body of arcane knowledge, because it helps you to better understand you and the universe. Where did I come from? Who am I? Where am I going? And that body of knowledge now can be better integrated into your consciousness, because now you have graduated and you now have the capacity to decipher this level of information.
And I think, there's also that aspect when you're that age and you're going from high school to college, you also kind of have that right before that, you have that rebellious thing. And it's like your last hurrahs of things.
Yes.
And I think we're feeling some of that as well.
Absolutely. The ending. Yes.
The endings of in a scary way, but also there's also good. And there's, I think we can all feel that difference in that change. So
Yes. Yes.
I have absolutely loved, and I know you and I know we can go for hours
I know.
because we have, and I would love to one, potentially invite you back if you were interested in coming back sometime.
Absolutely.
And that, I want to take our audience through kind of the journey of where we're going to go is we're going now from quantum possibilities, we're going to go to aligned action. This next month is going to be about integrity, where we're going to align everything from the inside and out. So then we want to look at ourselves and, the different views of the word integrity and what that means and what it means to each of us. And also how each of us define our own integrity. So I'd love to have you in the audience, or in, who knows, you might, if you're in the audience, I might ask you to pop in the seat. You know how to get back here to the studio. But I have thoroughly loved today's.
Yes.
Just think of today as the tip of the iceberg, right? And really of this month, where we've talked about various aspects of what I describe as the word quantum. And again, that's just my description,
Okay.
Those are only through my eyes, and that's all I can do in here is bring people.
But I think quantumness is so many. There are many levels to this.
It is
quantumness,
and it's I that's why I love the word, because it does look at so many different things. So let me know in the comments if you're watching this later, or even now, if you're interested in the Quantum Book Club. I put Dr. Etta's website in the chat, so you guys, it's also in the show notes. So please go check out her books and things. And I want you guys, think about, how are you living in full alignment with your own personal quantum truth? And I'll leave everybody kind of with that. And Jessica says, thank you both for a great show. I have appreciated having an audience for us to bounce ideas and things back and forth with. That's there wouldn't be a show without an audience, because then it would just be us making a video. And so I truly appreciate having people there who are bringing us their thoughts and feelings and things as we come up. So everybody, next week, some more Show Me Your Nuts. And thank you again to Etta.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you beyond this show. So,
thank you.
We'll see you guys all next week.
Okay. All the best.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.